The September 26, 2011 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Antelli? Mr. Beebe? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Eckel? Chairman Hanna?
Here.
Mr. Lee? Mr. Lightfoot? Mr. McCann? Mr. Yolovich? President Adair.
Is there anyone signed up for the public forum this evening?
There are no public forum speakers tonight.
Is there anyone present who would like to address the committee this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the August 22nd, 2011 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 11-216.
Moved by Legislator McCann, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion? Legislator Lightfoot.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to ask through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, part of these funds are supporting the drug treatment court program. Is that what just previously happened just last week, the graduation? Is that the program that we're referring to through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, this grant does support one of those programs, both the misdemeanor drug court as well as the judicial diversion program court, as well as the mental health court, the veterans court. All of those so-called specialty courts are supported by this grant.
Well, I just want to say, since I've been on the legislature, to you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, I've tried my hardest to attend as many every time I'm invited to that graduation. And I know since I've been on the legislature also, veteran court has been added to being a veteran too. I'm really pleased to support this program. Again, I've attended these graduations over the years. I'm very impressed with the staff, with the stories that we hear there, and just the overall program of giving people opportunities to get their lives back together with an alternative to incarceration. I think it's a great program, and I'm just glad to support it, and my hats go off to those involved with it. Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-217, acceptance.
Moved by Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Legislator Antelli. Is there any discussion? Legislator Eckel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, could somebody please help me understand what a PDC is or does, or a PDC fellow?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. You may have heard that in June of this year, the Monroe County Public Defender's Office was selected to be a pilot host site for a new fellowship program that was developed by two organizations that specialize in developing young attorneys for public service, one of which is the Equal Justice Works program that you may have heard of, the AmeriCorps legal program. They sponsor that program. The second is a new organization called the Southern Public Defender Training Center. Those two organizations received a Federal Bureau of Justice Assistance grant to put together a new program, a new fellowship program, where young attorneys who have graduated from law school will be placed with high-quality public defender offices to be trained and mentored in how to be excellent public defenders. So we were extraordinarily pleased that we were selected as, I believe, one of only 12 pilot sites in the nation. And we currently have two public defender fellows that started with the office in August.
Fantastic, thank you. And through the chair, according to the third paragraph of this referral, the grant will partially fund two PDC fellows. Where does the other part of the funding come from?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the second grant under referral 218, actually a portion of that grant will pay another $50,000 towards the salaries of these two fellows. The county has agreed to pay the necessary benefit costs to employ both of those fellows. But the salary amounts, if you add the two grants together, we're receiving $100,000 in grant money to apply towards the salaries for each fellow.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm sorry, did I hear you correctly? You said the county is going to pay the benefit costs?
Well, the Monroe County Public Defender's budget, I will have to pay those benefit costs, yes, but I'll work with the budget department to ensuring that we will be able to fund the benefit costs through a variety of means, mainly through delaying the filling of any vacancies that occur.
Okay, thank you very much, because through the chair, I was looking at the 100% funded by the Southern Public Defender Training Center. No additional net county support was needed, and that just piqued my interest for a moment. Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Beebe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just have one question through you to the administration. Where is the Southern Public Defender Training Center located?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the center itself is located in Birmingham, Alabama, and our two fellows were trained at the Southern Public Defender Training Center through funds made available by SPDTC in August of this year.
All right, thank you very much.
Legislator Lightfoot.
To you, Mr. Chairman, how were the two PDC fellows, how were they selected?
The fellows were part of a very competitive application process that approximately 450 young attorneys applied to this program, and they went through a comprehensive selection process where they were first reviewed by the Equal Justice Works staff, then by the Southern Public Defender Training Center staff, and then by our staff. And we ranked our preferences for each fellow based on our review of their qualifications. And then it was similar to, I guess if you're familiar with what they call match day for medical interns, the fellows that wanted to be placed in this office, and if they scored high enough, were then selected to be the two PDC fellows.
Now, how was it marketed? I mean, you know, thinking always in the lines through you, Mr. Chairman, of diversity. I mean, were the Black Bar Association, were they notified? I mean, were all associations that could have potentially had candidates for this particular position, were they notified?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the actual application process or marketing or informing the relevant people who could apply was largely done through law schools and reaching out to the law schools throughout the country. The Monroe County Public Defender's Office was not involved in the initial promotion of this fellowship program. That was all done by Equal Justice Works and Southern Public Defender Training Center. So I can't necessarily speak to whether that was done. However, knowing the individuals involved, I would be stunned if it had not been done.
And my final question to you, Mr. Chairman, are the two PDC fellows, do they live in Monroe County?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes. As Monroe County employees, they're required to live in Monroe County.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-218, acceptance.
Moved by Legislator Antelli, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question in regards to this. In the referral, it mentions about the funding here to help reduce the existing backlog. Through you to the administration, could we have a little bit of information about how bad the backlog is, time and amount?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we're actually dealing with two separate backlogs. A backlog that exists in the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, as well as a backlog that exists in Ms. Splain's office, the Office of the Conflict Defender. This backlog was created soon after Mr. Green took over in the District Attorney's Office and changed some plea bargaining policies that, for a 2-year period of time, greatly increased the number of appellate assignments our office received. We'd normally receive anywhere from 200 to 210 appellate assignments per year. In those 2 years, we received anywhere from 350 to 400 appellate assignments in each year. As you can imagine, this created a backlog as we only have a certain number of appellate attorneys in our bureau. Right now, that backlog means that a person assigned to our office to have an appeal perfected Generally, on average, it takes between 24 and 28 months before the appeal is actually done and heard by the court. The purpose of this grant is obviously to employ contract attorneys to try to reduce that backlog, as our assignment numbers have returned to normal, approximately 200 cases per year, and it simply wouldn't be cost effective to add full-time staff. Obviously, once the backlog gets reduced, I would then be in a position where I'd have to terminate those positions.
All right, thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Eckel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the public defender, Mr. Donaher, you mentioned that in the previous discussion that some monies would come for the, PDC fellows from this grant. So if 121.002 is going to the PD's office and the conflict defender gets 112.335, does the 50,000 you mentioned earlier come out of the former or the latter?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the 50,000 would come out of the allocation of 121,000 that is directed towards the Public Defender's Office. The remaining funds would then be used to hire contract attorneys to try to reduce that appellate backlog.
So approximately, through Mr. Chairman, approximately $70,000 for that.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, item carries. Next item.
Referral 11-229.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator McCann. Is there any discussion? Legislator Lightfoot.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm just wondering if I missed something. Was this plan given to us at some point in time? Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, given to the legislature? I understand this is an amendment too, and I understand that I'm assuming that it's on file as it says in the clerk's office, but through you, Mr. Chairman, this particular referral is asking us to approve amendments to this plan, and I'm just wondering if these amendments were given to this body, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration.
Mr. Chairman, I'll let Fred Ryan from Public Safety address any detailed questions, but as far as the amended plan, there is a copy on file in the clerk's office. It's rather large. It's 400 or 500 pages long. I think Mr. Ryan has a copy of it on his desk there, but it is available for your inspection. I believe it's also, at least the original plan is available online. I'm not sure. The amended plan is as well on the county website.
Okay, so my question, how many pages, through you, Mr. Chairman, are the amendments to this plan?
Through the chair, again, the document, the plan itself is anywhere between 400 and 500 pages. In terms of how many pages there are of amendments, I can't even hazard a guess. I'm going to say probably less than 50, but again, that's an estimate.
Right. So to you, Mr. Chairman, again, I just have a hard time approving something that I have not been able to review or see. I think that's poor government, and because of that, I would have to have a no vote on this until I can see what it is I'm approving. I mean, I just think that's common sense. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, I think that it would have been a simpler task, just like we get all our other referrals, to have gotten these amendments, which are not 400 pages long, for us to review and then approve. Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lightfoot, on the referral there's a stamp there that reads additional material on file in the clerk's office. If you had requested the additional material, it would have been furnished to you, just as a point of information.
I understand that in the past, through you, Mr. Chairman, when we have amended other things, the amendments have been attached to information. So it could have been overlooked, if you will, that this additional information was in the clerk's office. I just think that, this information could have been provided with the referral at hand prior to us coming here. Especially something to me, is serious as a disaster plan. I think that's pretty, at least in my mind, that's pretty important stuff. Through you, Mr. Chairman. So I would have liked to have seen the information provided in writing, and not, for us to have to go to the clerk's office in order to get this information. Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good, duly noted. Legislator Draw.
Could, through you, Mr. Chair, through the administration, could we have a clarification on where that additional information is?
Mr. Chairman, we can provide a copy of the amended plan. We can highlight, maybe redline the items that have been changed, which are sprinkled throughout the plan. As the referral, I believe, notes, the original plan was approved by this body as well in 2005, and the amended plan has been on file since the referral was submitted about a month ago to the clerk's office.
Thank you, Mr. Helfer. Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want it noted that I was not serving on the legislature at the time that was approved. So, that's never been before me. So, I just want that noted. So, I've never seen this plan. I never even knew it existed.
The plan has been available on the website.
I understand that. I understand that now. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand.
Legislator McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might recommend, given the importance of it and the fact that it's a 400 or 500-page document, to really to look at the amendments might not be appropriate. I would say you probably should look at the whole document in its entirety, because take a look at the 40 or 50 pages that are estimated to have been amended might not give you the proper context. So I would recommend anybody who's interested take a look at the entire 400 or 500-page document.
Thank you. I would agree with that, because many of the amendments probably would not make sense without being referenced to other things in the document as well. So if the administration could at least redline the amendments that are made, and for the sake of the legislators that weren't on the legislature in 2005, that would be very helpful.
We will do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Legislator Beebe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up, I want to understand the procedural here through you to the administration. Is this a plan when, after the public hearing, then comes back here for the full legislature to approve? Does the local government legislative bodies have to have had approved it first, or do they follow after we approve it?
Through the chair. No. Many municipalities have already adopted the plan through their legislative bodies, and their adopted resolutions have been forwarded on to FEMA. So the two do not go hand in hand. This legislative body does not need to adopt it in order for the towns or villages to adopt the plan.
All right, thank you. And through the chair to the administration, so any of the future workings with this plan that the county has, the local governments don't have to make the adjustments in their plan as well?
Through the chair, any changes that would be made to the document, the document as it stands now has been approved by FEMA, meeting their guidelines and regulations. Once this legislative body adopts it, we forward that resolution on. From that point forward, any changes that might be suggested to the committee who are developing the next rendition of the plan, that'll be due in 5 years, those changes can be incorporated as we go along. It'll be a living document.
All right, thank you. One more question through the chair to the administration. In regards to these amendments, could you briefly highlight, even though you said there's quite a few, which ones they're needing to be updated or to amended?
Through the chair, information that's been changed or amendments to this plan might include mitigation projects that had been ongoing in the past that may have been completed, or new mitigation projects that have started since the last plan was approved. There may also be other information related to new federal requirements that are in the plan. So there's a host of changes since the previous approved plan.
All right, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Legislator Yolovich.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just let me understand what Mr. Helfer said he would do. He would prepare one copy of that plan that's redlined and not 9 copies at the tune of about 4,500 pages.
That is
one copy and make it available for legislators to look at it in a specific place.
Correct.
Is that my understanding, Mr. Helfer?
That's through you, Mr. Chairman. That's correct. We can file a updated or a copy of the plan, 500-page document that has the changes redlined, if you will, because it's a large document. So we thought that would be the most efficient way to do it, and have it available in the clerk's office, not only for the members of the legislature, but anyone in the public that would like to inspect it.
Thank you.
Personally, I find that sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Yolovich. Is there any other discussion? Legislator Eckel.
I just want to say, through Mr. Chairman, just like to let you know how my vote is going. I'm going to vote to approve this and pass it on to the full legislature because it's going to involve a public hearing, et cetera. So we have 2 months to review this document. But I do reserve the right to ask questions and vote no on it at the full legislature if I find I have significant issues with it. I just wanted to put that on record. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, item carries. Are there any other matters to come before the committee this evening? Seeing none, the September 26, 2011 meeting of the Public Safety Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be held on October 24th, 2011 at 5 p.m.